The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Of course, that is a Win Ticket Wednesday. Your chance to win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone. Listen all day long for your chance to win. Kind of funny to me that, and I haven't read totally into this, but apparently Tom Brady is shading Drake May for MVP. Isn't it funny how all those former Patriots guys are all bitter
Cam Newton's doing it too.
And all hate each other? What's Cam Newton saying?
Oh, he just doesn't think Drake May's a very good player,
He's
right?
been on him all year.
Yeah. It's like Shaq and Rudy Gobert. Didn't you do it? You won an MVP, Cam Newton. You were afraid to jump on the football in the Super Bowl. We get it. We know what you're about.
God, that one play ended that dude's career pretty much.
Yes, it did. But he was, I won't say he was great before that. He had some moments before that. But, yeah, that certainly colored the rest of his career.
Well, it's funny, right? It's if you're not going to dive on a ball in the Super Bowl with the game on the line.
Right.
What really is important to you?
Then again, you know what? I'm sure there were some fans. I didn't even look this up on Twitter. I'm sure there were some responses. Bryce Young did the same thing in a game they had to win against Tampa Bay. He fumbled and just stood there and watched the ball and all these Tampa Bay players. And I get it. These are defensive linemen jumping on the ball, and Bryce Young is particularly little. But in a game that they ended up not needing because was the Falcons won the next day over the Saints, and they got into the playoffs as the top seed, the higher seed anyways. But he didn't jump after the ball. I thought, that's got to bring some real flashback.
There were replies.
I'm sure there were, yeah.
So I don't get it. Drake May had a good year. I don't know if he'd be my MVP, I guess, but I don't know why people. But anyway, Tom Brady throwing shade on another Patriots. It actually ties in kind of with the Witt situation and going to Michigan, and it's like you expect these people that are put on a pedestal to have these above it all kind of mentalities, and you just forget that people are human and flawed and petty. You know, the fact that Bill Belichick, the head coach at North Carolina, will not let the university use Drake May in their promotional material because he happens to be the quarterback of the team he used to coach for. Mm-hmm. Think of how bananas and stupid that is. How many decent NFL players have even gone to North Carolina ever?
Yeah, 4, 5, not a lot.
It's like Drake May and Julius Peppers.
Yeah, and he was a basketball player.
And that's basically it.
Yeah.
And so you're saying the current hot quarterback in the NFL play. It'd be like Kyle Whittingham forbidding Utah's social team or whatever from using Eric Weddle.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, but you don't put any Weddle highlights out there. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah, it would have been Witt being mad about Alex Smith existing because he wasn't the head coach when Alex Smith was at Utah. What?
Like Drake May, Tom Brady has to take the shine off Drake May because how dare another Patriots quarterback be any good? You know what I mean? It's just, it's hilarious and it's very human, but we, for some reason, expect, I don't know, people to be above it. Well, I don't blame Utah fans for being mad at Kyle Whittingham because he's not above it, but I also get why he's not above it.
I do think the lesson here is that you should not confuse your fandom with the motivation of the people you root for.
Yep.
Your fandom for the Patriots does not mean Tom Brady is a fan of the Patriots. Tom Brady is a fan of Tom Brady. Kyle Whittingham.
And some Instagram model, apparently.
Yeah, Kyle Whittingham is a fan of Kyle Whittingham. Kalani, who maybe has bucked this trend as much as anybody, was minutes away from becoming the Penn State head coach. Because Kalani understands in this business, because he has been he went to Wisconsin, right?
Kalani? No, he went to Oregon State.
He went to Oregon State. He didn't go to Wisconsin.
No.
He has had to look out for himself. He has had his job on the line. He's had his job on the line at BYU. He has probably had days where he's walked into meetings thinking, I might get fired today. And that scars you in a way where you have to look out for yourself. You have to be an independent contractor. And you can love the place you work for and still recognize that I have to take care of number one first before I can worry about BYU or Utah or Michigan or the New England Patriots. And you're going to do that. And with that does become this defensive mindset of, well, if they start to hurt my legacy, what does that mean? So where we got into a little bit of an argument yesterday about whether or not Witt should be rooting for Morgan Scally or might be rooting against him. Like, yes, the natural desire to defend your position and your property or whatever you think it is, Witt is going to have some human response to not want Utah to do well, which is crazy, but he is far from the first to do it. Tom Brady has 7 championship rings. 6 of them came with the Patriots. He's never going to be replaced as probably the greatest quarterback of all time, certainly never going to be replaced as the greatest Patriot of all time. And he still can't let Drake May, who's accomplished nothing in his life, have any sunshine, have any daylight at all. He wants to crush him because it may take a sliver of appreciation away from Tom. It's insanity.
Is it any coincidence that during the Carlos Boozer era, Karl Malone all but disappeared, and the only time he did pop his head up was to criticize? And then after, the guy who replaced the guy moved on or whatever, Carl's relationship, it could be coincidental, might not be causal. But I would guess that Karl Malone wasn't rooting that hard for Carlos Boozer.
Of course not.
You know what I mean?
Of course not.
No way. And he would come up and every once in a while and be like, hey, when I played, we played defense. This guy doesn't play defense.
Yeah, exactly right.
Or
I played 82 games.
Yeah, right. Or the franchise isn't welcoming me back properly or whatever it was. It was never – because there's no way he was cheering for Carlos Boozer.
Yep.
John Stockton went away. I wonder how he felt about Darren Williams, honestly. But it is only natural. But fans look at it and go, well, you should be appreciative of the team or the opportunity or whatever. But it isn't necessary. It doesn't necessarily work that way.
And it's not an affront to the fans. The fans can be victimized by it, certainly. But it is not done as a desire to anger the fans. Truthfully, it's probably far more personal than that. And I mean personal, truthfully within themselves, like these coaches or these players who leave do it more for themselves than anybody. But it is about the owner who they thought turned their back on them or the coach who they thought didn't believe in them. And that's where the desire comes from. Generally, I don't think it has anything to do with like the fans not supporting them in the right way. Though I do understand why the fans feel hurt by it.
No. It's Dr. Drake Ramore. It's the coach in college is the star of the show, and you pretend you know the coach.
Yeah.
And you project all this stuff onto the coach.
This is a Friends reference, yeah.
It is. Yeah. If you haven't seen, it's an old show. Christian Friends was a show that started back in the early 90s? Early 90s. Had a good, 12-year run probably?
Wrapped in the early 2000s when I was
Launched
in high school.
Several people's career.
Did it?
Well, the ketamine guy.
It was a lot of people's entire career.
Yeah, Matthew Perry was in that Bruce Willis movie with Amanda Peet. What was that?
Okay, and Jennifer Aniston's done some lousy work since.
Oh, she's terrible.
Ross was in Band of Brothers.
Haven't seen Phoebe since.
No. Joey's tried to do a bunch of spin-offs.
It hadn't worked.
Dr. Drake Ramore.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway, Joey was a soap opera actor, and he played Dr. Drake Ramore, and he ran into this crazy fan that thought he was the
character.
The character, and she was like watching his real life. The coach and the fans are the only ones that stick around. The players all come and go. And so as a result, the coach ends up the star of the TV show. Mm-hmm. He's the one they show on the sideline constantly and his reactions to this and whatever. And he's the one who's doing the press conferences. He's the one who's out in front of everything, and he's the one who stays. So he's the star of the TV show. And so fans get wrapped up into the coach's personality or whatever, even when they don't like the coach. I knew Jazz fans that would absolutely criticize Jerry Sloan up and down. Mm-hmm. Why is he calling the same play every time? 4 down, 4 down. Yeah. But if somebody else had said, oh, Jerry's a bad coach, that fan would rip their face off, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And pros is a little different because players stick around longer. With college, it's so, you get to know the player for like 10 minutes, even less so now. But you see the coach all the time. So the coach ends up the star. So you project all these feelings onto the coach that aren't true. I don't think Kyle Whittingham cares that much about Utah, honestly.
I'm totally with you.
I don't think he does. But people go, oh, he worked there for 20 years. He must love it dearly. I don't think he does.
You love it more than he does.
Yep.
That's the truth.
He loves him. And
Right.
he says, and again, I don't want to project anything onto Kyle Whittingham. I think you could say this about a lot of coaches, but they love them. They are the reason the program succeeded. They read their own headlines. And that's a perfectly natural thing, too.
Nothing Witt is doing is a Witt-specific issue. Now, he has his own wrinkle on it, as does everybody. They sprinkle their own flavor onto how this personifies itself or how this comes out. But no, Witt is not the only person to do this. But you were exactly right. Like, Witt cares more about Witt than he does the Utah program, and that's also what's made him successful.
Yeah. Well, different sport, but same example. Do you think Brett Favre cheered for Aaron Rodgers for 1 second? Or do you think Aaron Rodgers cheered or helped Jordan Love at all?
Never.
Never.
Yeah.
Not once. But yet, in both circumstances, the narrative surrounding it was, well, draft a young player and Brett Favre will take him under his wing and show him how it's done. And bang, smooth transition. And then it wasn't that. And they ended up drafting Jordan Love. And the narrative again was, well, Aaron Rodgers is going to put him under his wing and tell you what, bang, smooth transition. No. When you think, well, Aaron Rodgers owes it to the Packers. I mean, they've given him all these opportunities over the years and helped him become a Hall of Famer. Aaron Rodgers doesn't see it that way.
No, in fact, a lot of those guys would say, you know what the best thing they can do? You have to beat me for my job. You have to become so good that you're better than me, and me helping you get there is not. Me acquiescing to you is not good.
Tell you how to do it? No.
No, you learn how to be better than I am, and if you are, great, then you take the job, and that's the free market fairness. If you're better, then you can have it.
And I'm sure in Aaron Rodgers' case, he said, Brett Favre treated me like crap. Yeah. So guess what?
Right.
It's your turn.
Yeah. And it was better for me.
And it was better for me. Yeah. I ended up a better quarterback.
Whether it was or not, but yes, he can sell it that way. Hey, Joe Flacco got killed by Browns fans earlier this year by saying, like, I'm not here to teach anyone. I'm not a mentor. I'm 40 years old, yes, but I'm not here to teach Shedeur Sanders how to be a good quarterback, or who was the other kid that they drafted, Dylan Gabriel? I'm not here to teach him how to be a good quarterback. I'm here to be the starting quarterback for the Browns. Probably is the right approach.
I think it's part of the reason why us collectively as a community are so obsessed with players liking it here.
Yeah.
Because we project that onto players because we like it here, and we want to be confirmed of that every 10 minutes when it honestly doesn't matter. Donovan Mitchell pretended to like it here until he didn't. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then the most random players who you would never predict like it here end up living here.
Yeah.
Darren Williams lives here.
Yeah, right. I could see Yusuf Nurkic buying a house here, to be honest with you.
I think Derek Favors still owns his spot here.
Probably
Rudy Gobert still owns his spot here.
Mm-hmm.
I think Derek Favors is the ultimate story of somebody who you would never predict would love living in Salt Lake City, who ended up loving living in Salt Lake City. Yeah. But I could tell you all these popular players that everybody projected, oh, I bet they love it here, who hated it here.
Yeah, right. It doesn't need to be...
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter at all, but we feel the need to have it matter. And I find that one particularly obnoxious because these players are asked about it every 10 minutes. Shoot, I've asked players about it, you know? Wow, how do you like it in Salt Lake City? Please like it because nice. We want to like you.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just, it's song and dance.
It is also the reason why, and I'm sure you get asked this question a lot, or if people don't understand, it's like, is it hard to not be a fan of the team you cover? It's like, not in the slightest.
It's actually quite easy.
It's really easy. And part of this is because once you see behind the scenes, you recognize everybody's out for themselves. And not in a bad way. It's not cruel. It's not wrong. Do you wish, I guess, and not me, but like if you're a fan, do you wish all the guys were like, we're playing for the name on the front of the jersey every time we walk out there? Yeah, somewhat, but it's just not the case. And once you see that, and you see it really quickly when you cover the business, it makes it easy to recognize that like the team it's not a charade. It's not a mirage, but it's just not what you think it is.
You and I share that opinion. Unfortunately, it's not everybody in the media. But what you're talking about is the fantasy is gone. The storybook aspect of it is gone, and you see that they're just people, flaws and all, and it becomes a job for you. But I'll never forget when that one dude, the corny bro, went into the Golden State locker room. Uh-huh. This is a member of the media. Mm-hmm. And sent out a tweet or something that said, I'm just so disappointed in how the Golden State Warriors celebrated their win over the Jazz with bad language, and I just expected more out of these guys. And it's like, you did?
You did? Why?
You did?
Yeah. You wanted him to enjoy Salt Lake?
You had this fantasy about how Golden
Yeah.
State acts in their locker room. First of all, setting that out to begin with is an absolute violation.
Mm-hmm.
But second of all,
What were you expecting?
they let you down?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
You? And then who was it that went to Twitter and called him corny? It was Kevin Durant.
I think it was Draymond.
Was it? I thought it was KD.
I don't know if KD was on the team yet. But regardless, neither here nor there. Yeah.
Somebody went to Twitter and called him corny. But yeah, it's like what did you expect for someone in the Golden State's locker room to be like, well, the hard-fought, plucky Jazz gave us all we could handle tonight?
I remember I asked Kawhi Leonard one time what makes Gordon Hayward different than other players, and he looked at me and said nothing.
No, not a dang thing.
Oh, thanks, Kawhi.
This is a
time. It's like, oh yeah, Gordon Hayward mattered to Jazz fans. His ascension mattered, and I tried to write about that, and I was asking about that, as if anybody else in the NBA had ever thought of Gordon Hayward other than the 2 seconds that they just scored on him. You know, that they've never thought about anybody else's growth
They're like
pattern.
the guy who played at Butler?
His trajectory. Nobody cares.
No.
Yeah, nobody cared at all. And I remember, that was a good life lesson for me.
Well, another little aside, something I've noticed in the biz, players hate being asked about other players.
For the most part, yeah.
They hate it.
Yeah. Our guy, Eric Spiropoulos, who we both really like, who's the writer for the Jazz right now, asked LeBron about Keontae. And LeBron tried to fake it. He said, like, hey, what have you seen differently in Keontae this year? And he said, confidence. And he said, are you seeing anything else? He goes, man, you're asking the wrong guy. I just watch YouTube golf now.
He said, do you think he deserves to be an all-star? And he was like, yeah, you're asking the wrong guy.
You're asking the wrong guy. I don't watch basketball anymore. Which Eric is doing the exact right job working for the Jazz. That's exactly the right question of the exact right player.
And by the way, LeBron doesn't owe him a great answer.
No,
I mean,
no,
I'm actually fine with that answer.
No, there was nobody did anything wrong in that conversation.
But like I remember post games, you would get a short answer from Rudy every time a reporter goes, "Wow, that Donovan Mitchell was great tonight. What'd you think about Donovan?" I'd be like, "It was pretty good."
It was good. Yeah.
That's it.
Uh-huh.
He hated it. Hated being asked about other players, even teammates, which is kind of funny. The teammate that he's vying for attention with. It reminds me of when Paul Millsap beat the Miami Heat with the heroic ending or whatever, and Kirilla Fasinko had his only good game as a member of the Jazz. And somebody asked him about, what do you think about that miracle ending with Millsap? He's like, why are you asking about me? This game was Kirilla Fasinko's
11
game.
points and 8 rebounds. Yeah. No, it is funny. It is. And these guys do like each other, and for the most part, they kind of root for each other. You know, they do want to win, and at certain points of the year, they really do care about winning, and they celebrate together. But it's just a little less holistic.
Oh, they're all individual contractors in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in the end.
The same way you are at your job.
Well, let's look at another example.
Same way Christian would stab you in the back.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
No, I mean, that was the message. Remember when Will Hardy talked about hot dog and Colin Sexton at the same time and said, you're either going to buy into the concept or you're not going to play. Uh-huh. And Colin Sexton did. Hot dog said, no, dude, I got to put up a bunch of numbers if I'm going to get my next job because I'm not sticking around this tub. And didn't alter what he did in the slightest.
Yep.
Because he's an individual contractor. And viewed it that way. And actually, Colin Sexton probably did damage to his career, honestly, doing it.
By not just being a score first big-time guard. Yeah.
And not just
By
packing
buying in a little bit.
stats on a bad team.
Yeah.
He did his career damage. 100%.
Yeah, probably is not making as much money as he could have been.
I think Colin Sexton is a better player after playing for the Utah Jazz, but his rep around the league, far worse. He was a borderline all-star when he was on Cleveland, and now he can't get off the bench for the Hornets.
Yeah.
If he would have just stat packed the whole time,
he'd have a different perspective.
He'd have a different. People would think about him differently around the league. Bradley Beal is an average NBA player that people talked into being an all-star.
Yep.
So, it's funny because that's the magic of the coach. I mean, if we really want to put a bow on this segment, I mean that's the coach's superpower. Phil Jackson's superpower was somehow figuring out how to manage a room full of highly volatile independent contractors into pulling in the right direction.
How do you do what's worse for you but better for the team?
Yep.
That's a tough job.
That's the whole thing. The Lakers won't win until you talk Luka Doncic into playing defense and adjusting how he plays.
Yeah, good luck.
Right? Whoever trades for Trae Young, you think if the Wizards trade for Trae Young, you think he's passing ever again?
Right.
Well, you think let me put it this way. Do you think he's passing with over 4 seconds to go on the shot clock ever again?
I've told you one of my favorite things about the show The Wire is the kids season, and then you see at the end of the kids season which adult they are replacing in the process of the drug system or the education system or whatever. Trae Young becoming the old maid in the NBA is a very funny, it's a funny evolution in your career of like, he's good. Is he good? Is he on the wrong team? He's the old maid.
He's the old maid. Boom, the old maid. Wait till he makes all NBA because he puts up a bunch of stats with the Wizards and they have to give him the Supermax.
Yeah, they can't move off him. He's too good.
So you got to give him the money.
You know, the true white elephant.
Old maid.
Yep.
Tale as old as time. All right. It is Tuesday. It's a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. Let's give them away.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, and your chance to win tickets is right now.
Call this number now.
Call this number now.
Be caller number 12 at 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. And you'll be on your way to Delta Center to see the Utah Jazz.
He fires the three. He hits. Oh, don't do me like that.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. You're going to get a pair of tickets to go see the Jazz and the Hornets on Saturday, January 10th at Delta Center at 7:30. 801-575-ZONE. More next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson
1, 2, 3, move it.
on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time to talk hockey with the Utah Mammoth and NHL insider on KSLSports.com, Cole Bagley on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is time to talk some Mammoth hockey. He covers the Mammoth for KSLSports.com. He's our buddy Cole Bagley. What's going on, Cole?
Not much. How are you guys doing?
We're doing terrific. Cole, you sound nice and clear on the stream. Probably see you on the YouTube stream as well. Very nice win last night for the Mammoth. In fact, they split 2 of 3 on this road trip in New York and New Jersey. What did you make of the last week?
Yeah, I mean, a successful road trip, right? Anytime that you can win 2 out of 3, even when you lose a game in the fashion that they did to the New Jersey Devils, to pick up 4 out of 6 points is huge. And that was a big game. Both, all the players, said that after the game. Andre Tourney had mentioned how important that game was for them. And, yesterday when Bill Armstrong was on with Hans and Scotty, he mentioned how big of a game that was because it sets them up really well going into this next homestand where I believe it's 7 straight. And then 10 of the next 14 going into the Olympic break are going to be on home ice. So last night was a must win, and they got it done. So now they're headed back to Salt Lake with 4 out of 6 possible points and a lot of confidence going into a critical stretch.
What does it do for Jersey specifically to bang home that game winner?
Yeah, it was big for him. Defensively this year, Jersey has struggled. Both him and Sergachev have been on the ice for quite a few goals. Obviously, they're playing against the best of the best most nights, but their plus minus is not very good. I believe collectively before last night it was negative 23. So, to have a bounce back game, against New Jersey, 2 or 3 of those goals were definitely on that top pair. Sergachev and Jersey, he kind of made some mistakes that were then exploited by the Devils. So to come back, against New York and to play as well as they did, especially after taking that late penalty for Jersey, when he came out of that box, he was a man on a mission. He almost called game in regulation, but then they go to overtime. He steps on the ice and puts himself in prime scoring position, scores one for the Mammoth, gets 2 points. And then, he shared in the post game that, he had recently lost his grandfather and, that one was for him. So big for Jersey. I think it's been a little bit of a difficult season in terms of defensive production. So to get one offensively to secure 2 points, it's a big confidence boost for number 50.
Speaking of confidence, what do you think being named to the Olympic team does for Clayton Keller?
It's huge. This is something that Keller's been thinking about for a long time. We've had conversations with him dating back to last season, where this was one of the primary goals for him. Obviously, he's very much focused on the Mammoth of being the captain, but to be an Olympian is different. He's played for the United States for many, many years. He trained in their development program. He represented them at multiple World Juniors, and then as well at World Championships, captaining the United States to their first gold medal in 93 years this last summer. So, he certainly felt snubbed off of the Four Nations roster a season ago. He talked about that yesterday. And so for him to earn a position on the U.S. roster, as Bill Guerin described it, it's big for him. I think it's a huge confidence boost. It helps him know that he's one of the best players in the world. If you make the United States or Canada, you're revered as a top player on a international scale. So huge for him. I know he's thrilled. I know it means a lot to him and his family. So, we'll see what he can do in Milan next month.
All right, 7 games now at home. Big, long homestand. To set a pace to make the playoffs, what do you think they need to do?
Yeah, over these next 14 games going into the break, with 10 of them at home, I think at a minimum you gotta win half. You gotta win at least 7 of those, but I think you need to probably win 9 or 10. The West right now is so close. I think from the top wild card spot down to I think 7th or 8th in the race is only a difference of about 4 points. And so every point right now is critical. Every point right now matters. And to, a lot of the conversations over the last few days have been not necessarily making excuses, but, recognizing how difficult the schedule's been. The Mammoth have played, I believe, the most games on the road. It's been 60% of their games have been on the road. They've had a lot of long, lengthy road trips. And so for now, now the season's, now the schedule is going to soften up a bit. It's going to be a lot more favorable. And now is the time, as Coach Torney put it, to prove who they felt that they could be. You have to go into this homestand, defend home ice. And I think, if you're playing 10 at home, you probably need to win 7 of those. And then you need over the next, 3 or 4 that you're playing on the road, you need to pick up probably at least 2. So critical stretch for Utah as they, try to go into the Olympic break, obviously in contention of a playoff spot, but being in a wild card spot coming out of that would be huge for this team, as Cooley is expected to be healthy after that break, and then going into the trade deadline, it could set Utah up to be buyers.
We're still 2 months out from the trade deadline. They did make a move last night after the win, Juuso Välimäki getting traded to the Canes. Do you expect him to be active? Do you think that's going to depend on what happens over the next 14 games, like you said, going into the Olympic break?
Yeah, I mean, we talked to Bill this offseason, and, kind of his preseason approach was that Utah would definitely be a little bit more aggressive. But I think, to your point, Ben, I think it's going to be based on how these next 14 go. If they can win 8, 9, or 10 of these and be in a pretty good spot going into the break, once they come out of it, there's only I believe a week or 2 until the trade deadline. And so, that would set them up to be buyers, right? They want to make the playoffs. They have a lot of assets. They have an ability to go into the market and see if they can't add somebody, a player or two, who they think could put them over the top in terms of making the postseason. So, yeah, it's dependent on, how this next month goes. But if they can win, 60, 70% of those games, I think, and I would expect them to be a lot more aggressive.
How much does that depend on Veggie and the goaltending?
Yeah, I mean, winning starts, between the pipes. Oftentimes the team that wins the Stanley Cup is usually the team that has the best goaltender in the postseason. And generally, the teams that are making the playoffs are teams that have top half goalies. So he's been better over the last, I'd say, 4 to 6 weeks. December was actually a really good month for him. And, it's kind of ironic. He's actually tied for the most wins of a goaltender in the NHL right now. He has played, I believe, 31 or 32 games, and the Mammoth have now played 43. So, he's in net, most nights. But yeah, it's everything. Goaltenders are one of the biggest pieces of winning hockey, and it's because when you make mistakes, they're back there to bail you out. They're there to make, those unexpected saves to keep you in a game. And that's what Vejmelka did last night. Utah easily could have trailed by, 2, 3, 4 goals, especially on that power play that New York had to kind of finish out the game in the third period. Vejmelka was spectacular. And I think over these last 3-4 games, he's really put the team in a spot to win.
Based just on paper alone, what role do you think Clayton Keller will play for the U.S. Olympic team?
Yeah, it's a good question. The United States is just so deep. To have guys like Jack Eichel, the Tkachuk brothers, Austin Matthews, incredible defensemen and McAvoy and Hughes. I mean, some of the best players in the world, some of the best players at certain positions are on this U.S. roster. And so, while it's a big deal for Keller to make the team, it's going to be interesting to see how much he plays. I mean, I expect him to play at least one game during the round robin. But as they get into knockouts, I think unless he's just playing out of his mind or if he finds a specific role, I would kind of anticipate to maybe more so see him as a healthy scratch. And that might, not be what Mammoth fans really want to hear, but I think that's just kind of the situation. I mean, USA is so good. This is probably the best U.S. team, Olympic U.S. team that we've seen since 2002. They're stacked. From top to bottom, every position is so competitive. And, so yeah, I expect him to play a little bit. But like I said, unless he just catches fire or finds a specific role on the power play or something like that, I wouldn't be surprised if, Keller's more of a healthy scratch type situation.
Cole, we appreciate you and all of your fine work. Thanks for jumping on the show, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Cole.
There you go. The one and only Cole Bagley with your Utah Mammoth update. It's brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together.
I obviously it'd be fun to see Logan Cooley, Clayton Keller go out there and play a lot in the Olympics. Also nice if some of these guys can get a little bit of a break. Go out there, get the experience, enjoy that time. But maybe don't put as much wear and tear on your body. Vejmelka's got to go out there and play in goal for Czechia. It's just Czechia, excuse me. That's a lot. I don't know how many games they're expected to play or win in the tournament. Maybe he'll end up getting a little break as well. But still a lot of wear and tear. It's extra games being played for a team that's going to be trying to make a playoff push when they return.
If it were me, I'd rather not play. Then you're just on vacation at the Olympics, which would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's ideal. Right? Go to Italy?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Then you're just bumping around. I'll be here if you need me.
I'm at the Coliseum. What do you mean you need me to play?
I might be able to get there by warm-up.
Coach, I'm in the Vatican. I'm under the Sistine Chapel.
Can't talk now.
I can't talk. They're coming for my phone.
See, that's actually ideal.
Pope Leo's right there.
It's the reason that I always preferred being a reliever as opposed to a starter.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll be here if you need me. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you don't need me.
Maybe not. I'll be chewing.
You think Pope Leo's upset that Bedard didn't make Team Canada?
Yeah, absolutely.
Big Chicago guy.
Yeah. But we got Murakami. Go with the White Sox. Everything's falling into place for us. Life's good. But yeah, he probably wanted to see Bedard. He probably wanted to see, who's their old guy that didn't make Team USA. Yeah, some issues there. Probably a little frustrated. The diehard.
You think he'll mention it at the pulpit?
I think he'll be at the Olympics. He's got to be the big face, right? He lives there. I think he lives there now, right? You got to move into the Vatican.
Well, yeah, you have to move in.
But Trump's always at Mar-a-Lago. Do you think he does that? Do you think he's got a place where he's like, nah, I'm freaking in my Redstone or whatever. I've got my other spot I like to hang out at.
I honestly have no idea.
I have no idea either. I'm not that familiar with the politics of the Catholic Church.
Well, there's all sorts of
their living arrangements, at least, yeah.
Cathedrals and stuff like that all over. I mean,
yeah, right.
Can he treat that like a vacation house?
Yeah, can he dip away? No, have you seen this?
Yeah. There's old Catholic churches everywhere. Can he just move into the basement when he feels like taking a vacation?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, I'm going to be staying in the nave for a while.
Yeah, right.
Alert security.
This is better.
All right. Shout out to Cole. Thanks to him.
I'm going to be in Verona for a few weeks.
For jumping on. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Two niggas on the airways, talking sports. They got him ejection on soul. Loves his tie-dye, Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my.
Appreciate you jumping on. Enjoy the family this weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you, Jake. Have a good one, man.
I had been talking to Bartle for 20 straight minutes. I know I was a little sick there. I'm still a little under the weather, but 20 straight minutes, one-on-one, me and Steve Z. And then he hits me with the thanks, Jake.
Shout out to Steve.
Cruel.
Always has been
Appreciate you, Jake. Have a good one, man.
Yeah.
What?
Always been one of my favorites. Shout out to the
20
Bartler
minutes.
himself.
20 straight minutes. Bartle me this, Steve. What were you thinking?
That he was talking to me.
Apparently.
Or maybe he thinks that I've been all along.
Has no idea which one is which. Oh.
I mean,
makes more sense.
Ron Boone basically has no idea what I look like.
Told you Ron one time knowing my name was the biggest surprise I've ever had. And I don't know why. I just, I worked with Ron and talked to Ron, but usually it's, on the other side of a microphone. We don't see each other a whole lot.
Uh-huh.
And he walked in and he said, Ben, why did you never say hi to me? I thought, I didn't know you knew what my name was, Ron. And I grew up in Utah. You've been a legend in this state truly my entire life. I didn't think you knew who I was, but he's not a big timer.
No, he's not. He does his thing. I talk to Ron every single game. I do not see Ron every single game. And every time I do see Ron, he looks at me like, hey there, guy.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And then I was wrong. And he called me out in front of everybody, which was rightfully so. Anyways, he didn't Steve me.
Speaking of
Dynamite, my name.
Speaking of Dynamite color analysts like the legend Ron Boone, apparently Snoop Dogg was on the Clippers broadcast.
I was on the Peacock broadcast.
Oh, was that what it was?
Night. So Peacock was carrying the game, and I think it was RJ, Snoop, and no, it was Reggie. Excuse me, Reggie Miller, Snoop, and I didn't even recognize the actual play-by-play guy. And Snoop kind of took over the show. Some good, some bad. Sometimes he just kept talking. He kept doing this funny announcer voice where he was trying to sound really official. It's like, the game is over, the lights are off, and the Clippers have won the game. He kept doing that. And I was like, at least he's being playful. Like, at least he's not too afraid to say anything.
He's funny.
And he was funny last night, but then there were some highlights where he actually got to get into it.
So is this the Steve Kerr ejection then? All right, so Steve Kerr lost his mind, I did see that. I did not hear the Snoop Dogg call, but I did see Steve Kerr absolutely lose his mind. And it does make me laugh when Steve Kerr's acting like he's going after the ref physically. Did you see Gary Payton Jr., who's just basically touching his arm to hold him back? He's not even putting effort into it.
Right.
Steve, hold him back!
But Steve will beat somebody up in the middle of
Sure you are, Steve. How's that back? Anyway, I hear Snoop Dogg's call of it was pretty funny. I'm looking forward to this.
Go to the rack, Draymond, all the way. Good pass. Ooh! Ooh, he snapped the break. He Windex shine that. Get off the Windex shine.
That hit the backboard. Oh, look at Steve Kerr. He's all the way out here.
Uh-oh, Steve, don't get thrown out. Get him out of there. Get him out of there. Back him up. Back him up, GP. Back him up. Steve ready to fire on him.
He's already gone.
Steve banging Inglewood right now. Inglewood. Get him, Steve. You in Inglewood, Steve. The Arizona Wildcat that came out and look at it.
First of all, there is a lot going on there. There is a lot of Snoop talking over all of the action, and that was a lot of the night. Snoop was probably not some people's cup of tea. Honestly, it was a variation of Bill Walton.
Okay.
You know how Bill talked a lot, sometimes nonsensically.
Whatever was on the top of his head.
But if you liked that, you were going to enjoy Snoop last night. But if you wanted a traditional call, you were not going to get it. I was also surprised at how much Snoop actually kind of knew about what was going on. He was actually dialed. He's like a big basketball fan.
He's a basketball guy,
He's a sports fan. He's a basketball fan.
No, he played basketball in high school.
I think in high school. His son played college football, right? So, yeah, he's been bought in. He certainly is a huge sports fan. He's a Steelers guy, right, if I remember correctly. So he pays attention. But, knowing some history with Steve Kerr, knowing some of those things, he he had some insight, but also was just somewhat laughable. And, the game was close late. The Warriors needed a 3, and he was talking about, no, I don't think they should go for a 3. I think they should go and try and get Jimmy Butler to get an and 1. I was like, that's actually kind of interesting insight that nobody else would say. So it wasn't a total failure. I don't know if they'll bring him back.
He knew that Steve Kerr went to Arizona.
Yeah, exactly right. He had some real insight.
Yes, well, I don't know if knowing Steve Kerr went to Arizona is actual insight, but yeah. Was it better or worse than the all players broadcast used to be?
Better.
Because those were the worst things I've ever heard.
It was better.
Okay.
Because he at least followed the action. It wasn't just talking about his career or whatever. He was kind of into the action, and he knew all the players. So it could have been way worse, and it was not.
Speaking of that, I saw a funny, you know how Paul Pierce is always overstating how good he was? Mm-hmm. He sent out some tweet yesterday that was like, I could get, I don't even remember the stats he put out there, but like 5 points and whatever in 22 minutes in today's game. And somebody retweeted and said, Paul Pierce's final season, and it was like 3.1 points per game.
Right. It's this weird, I could throw a football over a mountain, that just comes for everybody. Again, we've talked so much about human response to leaving a team, leaving a league, moving on, and what you want for that former team. Every player seems to have this misunderstanding of who they were at the end of their career.
Well, every player wants to make it about them, which I get it. If you want to think of Charles Barkley actually doesn't make it about him. Now, it becomes about what he says, but it's not about him. Charles doesn't just spin yarns about when he played against Otis Thorpe. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I find Shaq obnoxious. You brought up the Shaq, Rudy, whatever that is because Shaq makes it about him.
Yeah.
Well, I was a big man in my day, and this is how we were measured, and this is how we were paid, and I'm going to resent this guy because he's not how I was or how this was or that was, and it becomes about Shaq and is measuring himself to Rudy Gobert. Charles Barkley never does stuff like that. I think the best analysts are the ones that – now, I'm not talking even about sports radio or anything like that. I'm talking about in-game analysts are the ones who – keep it about
what's on the floor,
the game or whatever. And if you want to draw a comparison to when you played or something like that, you can't, but you don't make it all about you.
If you want to use your experience to say, hey, when I was a quarterback, this is what I saw. Or when I was a point guard, this is what I was looking for, and he did this, not this is what I would do or this is what I was able to do that he can't.
I want to know what Reggie Miller thinks about Keontae George when he's calling the game, not the one time he cooked Craig Elo.
Yeah. Right. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the good old days.
No, not in that setting. If you want to do a podcast where you and another player swap stories and that's what I'm actually getting into, I'll listen to that.
But again, to the point of why it's hard to make that transition, again, we've talked about how good Hans is at this. Hans does not just ruminate about his career and about what he did. Hans takes his experience as a BYU player, as an NFL player, and knows how to translate that into what is happening on the field right now to talk about what is working and what's not working.
I don't know. He talks about that game against San Diego State a lot.
I
recovered a fumble this and I scored that. I mean, it's just constant.
Well, that footage relives forever. I don't know if it's in infamy or just famously. But,
here's what I love about Hans, honestly.
It is still out there.
Is he was so, like, if you've heard him tell the story about celebrating the football or his touchdown against San Diego State.
The flail.
He's really mad at how it turned out because it was just a instantaneous thing.
Spur of the moment.
And he's actually thought out what his entire touchdown celebration would be had he scored again. And it involves like rodeo and lassoing teammates and all sorts of stuff.
Never got back there. Never got in the end zone again.
Oh, man, I love Hans. Speaking of Hans, he and Scotty G are coming up next. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Christian.
On the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.